Hello and welcome to the Craze podcast. We've got myself, Alistair. We've also got
Powerz.
and we've got
Latent.
here today, and we're just gonna go through some of the latest goings on with ourselves, maybe with the company as well. Yeah, let's get started. So how you guys been? It's been a while since we met up last time.
Yeah, been good. I'm working on quite a lot of new music at the moment, so got the whole creativity thing going on at the moment, which has been really good. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I went away again. Went up into York for a little while, then into Whitby. That was nice.
How was it up there?
It was lovely.
Yeah.
York always just smells of chocolate because it's right next to the big chocolate factory. It's Roundtree and all that.
Yeah.
So you know, you go out and you walk around York, and it's lovely. York. If you've never been, I would go. It's so untouched. It's lovely. Little shambles and hickledy-pickledy bits with like really old buildings, but it just smells like chocolate croissant all the time. Drives you insane. You just walk around drooling. And Whitby, obviously. Now, for some unknown reason, they've the ruins of the cathedral up on they've blocked it off. You have to go through this little museum to get to it now.
Yeah.
£8.50.
I don't think you should charge for crap like that.
£8.50. You're joking? It's a fucking ruin.
Yeah.
People used to be able to just go and sit there and just enjoy it. Now you got to pay to get there and enjoy it. I can understand about people wanting to preserve stuff, but it's ruins. It's ruins. I can understand it if it's a huge cathedral.
I only get it if you've got a guide or something. Then it's kind of like, oh well, you're paying the guide possibly, but not £8. I wouldn't pay that much for it.
£8.50 to go up and see the ruins. It's just, I have to explain. There may be some humming because it's so hot. We've got fans in the studio.
Yeah.
So fans might be interfering with us, but it's that or us dying. So.
It's really humid at the moment.
It's very humid.
Very sticky.
It's very hot.
Yes.
But yeah, so been away. Again, also working on a material. Finishing off an album with EKR and other projects that I'm working on. So it's been a while, but we're back. So hello.
Will that be released by the time we've gone live as well, won't it?
Probably.
So it might be available to.
Hopefully, the 1st of September it's going to be released. If all goes well.
And this usually goes up on the Sunday of the week, so.
Yes, and podcast normally goes up on Sunday.
That goes to plan, so it will already be up.
Yes. Lapsed. Because the last album was Reformed. And yes, so this one's called Lapsed. So that's been happening. What about you?
Yeah, I've been doing music bits with a few guys back at my studio in Chessington. It's going well. Doing lots of little bits. Done a couple of covers. One might be out soon. I think we might just put that up. Do the video for it and things. So should be interesting. Should be good. Yeah.
Sound as a pound. Hopefully we'll be shooting some videos as well soon.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully.
If this weather doesn't kill us first. Hang on a minute. Sorry, my dog is trying to get hold of something. Wait, Louis. Come on now, stop it. You can have it later, alright? Come on, sit down. Good boy. Stay now.
I made the mistake of shaking one of those eggs. That's what he's after.
Oh,
little eggs full of little shaker things. He wants one.
Or a bottle. Plastic bottle.
Yeah, before that it was the bottle.
He hates plastic bottles. They got to die for some reason. He's just obsessed with them. Doesn't matter where. I mean, it could be some poor child walking through the park. He's got to have the plastic bottle if they got one. It's kind of like that bottle has to die for some reason. I don't know why, but anyway, hopefully he's going to lay down for a little while.
Yeah, sweet dog.
Speaking of things that have to die, have you guys been seeing about over the last few weeks and then this week in particular, the things that have been happening in the pop music world, the records that have been getting broken? It's been interesting because there was...
Didn't Bowie get 1 billion downloads or something? I've seen David Bowie 1 billion downloads.
Well, that
on something on
maybe.
Spotify.
Well,
Really?
on Spotify, one of the big statistics was that song Despacito got over 1 billion streams, and it was the first song to get.
Isn't that also? Is it? I'm not sure if it's made it yet already. But it's supposed to be like the #1 viewed YouTube video pretty soon as well.
Yeah,
so
maybe
it was
it
like
will
literally
be. Yeah.
on track to smash all the other ones.
Yeah, and it's a song from, I think it's from Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
and it's not. It's in Spanish, but then there was a version of it made featuring Justin Bieber, and I think that's what.
Yeah, that's gonna have done it.
Yeah, and then now there's previously there was the most viewed video in its first 24 hours after release was Adele, and it was that Hello song, which got something like 29 million views within its first 24 hours. But that's just been smashed by another musical legend.
YouTube's just becoming another. It's like the new MTV, really. It kind of in terms of the amount of views and listens things are getting.
But yeah, the musical, like it was 29 point something million. Now the record is something like 37 million views in the first 24 hours, and it was. Do you know who it's by? The new most watched video in its first 24 hours is by Taylor Swift. So we have so many great musicians that have existed throughout the years, but the record breakers now are the likes of Justin Bieber, Adele, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, but in all honesty, that music's aimed towards 5-year-old and fuckwits, and unfortunately, the world's full of them.
Well, I wouldn't say that's what's causing it. I would say you're getting the newer generations who are much younger.
5-year-old and fuckwits, yeah.
And 5-year-old fuckwits.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Who are what? Because if you look at all the YouTube stuff, like some of the most popular videos on YouTube and things are like toy review videos, toy review channels. They're like the biggest growing channels out there. Or it's like Jake Paul, where you can tell that it's so fake, the stuff that he's doing. Or not fake, but just really forced and a bit silly. Because he was on H3H3 podcast the other day, because the H3H3 did a kind of video about his music video, like dissing it and things like that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they seem to get on really well. And he seemed to actually, like, you could blatantly tell that his promotion teams and things like that know what they're doing for Jake Paul, and you can tell that it's all kind of a bit planned and stuff. But people suck it up, don't they, when they don't realise it?
Well, yeah.
I think another thing that I've discovered in just actually being around youth and youth clubs, there's certain radio stations that cotton onto a song. I don't know if they're getting backhanders or whatever, but they must be getting paid, because they play the same song 20 times an hour. They'll play a certain song, then they'll play 1 or 2 other songs, then they'll play that song again.
Oh, be the executives in
then
the
they'll
station.
play another couple of songs, then they'll play that song again. It's not, and then it's.
They set a playlist and there's like different grades and
but
things.
It's not like that person likes that song. They've just heard it so many times that they think they like it.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I mean, it's not. I think there should be a law where all stations have a no repeat guarantee.
Yeah.
Because if you're just going to keep peppering out the same song 20 times an hour, and then 20 times the next hour, then 20, there's got to be a kickback somewhere. There has to be some money being exchanged there. But I've actually sat there and gone, oh my God, they played this song 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they played this song 10 minutes ago and 20 minutes ago. I mean, you can virtually time it.
Yeah.
And the same song comes on. And you think,
some are on a
"Fucking
loop, their
hell."
playlist, you can tell.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
There'll be the odd
there's-
thing that's slightly different.
I think there's lots of factors at play as well with nowadays, more than there ever was before. Because before, someone like David Bowie, for example, becomes this superhuman, mythical character, and he had several characters that he put that across as, and he was able to do that because there was some kind of distance between him and his fans, so that you don't so much see him as just a flawed, grounded human being. But nowadays, someone like Taylor Swift, she connects with her fans so much through social media and stuff, that's what they feel like they have a connection with her, like a almost like a friendship with her. It doesn't matter if her music's not that good, because and then beyond that you also get things like when Psy came out with that Gangnam Style, people just like something that's funny as well, and it becomes the most viewed YouTube video of all time, and it's just him doing a silly dance, singing a silly song, and that, and it is like it's 5-year-olds and fuckwits, because they're not interested in the music, they're just interested in having a bit of a laugh.
But the music's gone so downhill. It's not the thing that, for me, I mean, because I'm a lot older, I'm speaking of from the older generation. I grew up with listening to bands from the 60s and the 70s, and then you had the 80s, which was fantastic, when you started to get OMD and Human League and Gary Newman, Two-Way Army at the late 70s, early 80s, right the way through to the rave scene. But then it just seemed to die off. There is no great bands anymore. Not that I would say that are iconic. There's not going to be I mean, you're going to get, obviously you've got the Stones, the Beatles, the Who, you know, you've got the Doors, you've got all these iconic bands that are going to stand the test of time and will become part of history. But I can't see any iconic bands from about 95 onwards. I mean, I can't really say Oasis is an iconic band, or even Blur. And don't get me wrong, I like Blur. Yeah. But they're not going to stand out or stand up against the Rolling Stones, say. Not iconically. Yeah. Coldplay are not iconic. I suppose U2 could possibly, you could say U2 are quite iconic.
Yeah, but most of their good
but
stuff
then again,
was before
they've been
95.
out was in the 80s. Yeah, most of their good stuff was in the 80s. Yeah. And that's what made them iconic. Them great songs from the early days. Now
they have a couple of good ones.
It's just, it seems to, the music side of it's died off. It doesn't seem to be the music has to be great now. And I find, because people have short attention spans now, the more repetitive a song, the better it does. I mean, I was somewhere the other day and I was doing something, and there was a song on the television, and it was some woman, and she sung the same line at least 30 times. Yeah. And I'm thinking, is there another line in this song? There's got to be more vocals to this song. Yeah. And all I heard was her singing the same line. And I thought, this is what does it. It's the repetition. It's almost like the Baby and the Mobile spinning round. You get engrossed in it.
Yeah, it's easy to remember, it's easy to sing along to.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, there is obviously songs. It's like when we was ages ago, I was chatting to some music producers, and some of them were working with big artists, and one of them said, well, you know, we had somebody come in and they wrote 5 lines, and that 5 lines has made them £22 million. And this is, to that point, this was like 5 years ago, so it's probably more than that. And she said them 5 lines are now in a song that's played every second of the day. So it's being played somewhere in the world right now. And by the time it finishes on that radio station, it'll be halfway through a play on another radio station. And that song is I'm So Horny. Now, there's not that many lines to that song, but
I'm
because
horny,
of the repetition
horny,
of it...
Horny. So horny.
I'm horny. It's made the writer 22 million, let alone what the singer's made out of it. So it seems to be repetition, and easy music, I would call it easy listening, is the key to success. Because I mean I'm going to put my hands up here. I love prog rock, but I'm not really into the prog rock where you got 5 geniuses trying to show how good they are on their instruments. I'm into the prog rock which was fun prog rock, you know. Yeah. So you don't have to be a genius. You know, even if you are a genius at guitar or bass guitar or drums or whatever, it's nice to just beat out a decent melody, a good rock song or a good pop song or a good R&B song. But there doesn't seem to be that nowadays. I mean, it's even like Coldplay. I mentioned Coldplay a minute ago. From what I've heard recently, Coldplay are just playing to beats now. There doesn't seem to be a band situation. It seems like somebody's made a beat that they've used, and Chris Martin, is it?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
just sung over the top of a beat. So even
Well, I think
they've
it's,
sold out.
it's them
to,
that have made the beat, but yeah, they've
I know it's the most one of the most recent ones is the Chainsmokers.
yeah,
They
yeah.
collaborated, which
Now, that was quite a good song. I quite like that song.
Mm.
It's not. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Coldplay anyway, so I wouldn't want to try and say, oh, it's not proper Coldplay, because I don't give a shit whether it's proper Coldplay. But it's just kind of funny that's when you try and think of an iconic band from the last 20 years, you're going, Coldplay? Like that, you do. There's a lot of iconic individual artists, I think,
Foo
but they're
Fighters.
not necessarily Yeah, Foo Fighters, I suppose.
they're quite iconic.
but then Foo Fighters, are we talking about Nirvana?
Now, Foo
People
Fighters.
think
No, no.
Nirvana was iconic. I personally don't think so. I'm not a Nirvana fan at all, to be
Yeah.
honest. Smashing Pumpkins played them out of the park. As far as I'm concerned,
I think what it was about Nirvana was the way they connected with people. Like, their music really spoke to a generation of people that were feeling the sort of things that it was talking about. Because like, musically, that grunge rock style is not going to appeal to everyone. The same as metal doesn't appeal to everyone.
yeah.
But Foo Fighters are, to be fair, they're very different to Nirvana, I think.
they're good, but I wouldn't say they're iconic.
Well, yeah, not in the way. That's why. I mean, when you can think about artists now, individual artists, solo artists, and they have become iconic, but not necessarily because they were great musicians. It's more like someone like Lady Gaga. She's like a gay icon because she's so flamboyant and out there, or Rihanna, or Miley Cyrus because they act like sluts. I mean, I was listening there was a Rihanna song come on the radio earlier, and she says something like, I know you want to see me naked, naked, naked. It's like, well, all we have to do is just search Rihanna naked in Google and you can see her naked. And that's kind of what she's built a big following on acting very sexually provocatively, which is what Madonna started doing back in the fucking 80s.
Yeah, like a virgin.
Yeah. And I think that there's lots of solo artists now who are iconic, and in the mainstream, they don't necessarily have to be great musically. They just make that connection with their fans, whether it be through social media. That's what people want. Like when you talk about things like the X Factor, people win that based on how much all of the people voting like them.
But I won't even have it on any of the televisions in my house or my
I never watch
houses.
it.
Do you know what I mean? I just refuse to have anything to do with that kind of show because I think it's disgusting and vile. But the ones, to me, what makes me vomit is when they come out and, I lost my gran 6 months ago and I had a bad upbringing. So fucking what? 10 billion other people out there that are singers have had a shit fucking upbringing, but don't bring it into the TV show.
Yeah, to
I
try
want
and
to
score
judge
points.
you. Yeah, I want to judge you on what you sound like, on how good you are. But the trouble is, you got fucking useless people judging useless people that are singing fucking karaoke songs.
Yeah.
That's all it is. None of these have got talent. I want to see somebody that's written a song, made the fucking music, and singing a song, and it knocked me out. Then I will be impressed.
Yeah.
But if you're just going to come on and sing somebody else's song, I can go to any fucking pub on a Friday night and watch a load of drunks doing the same. And they'll probably be better than you. Why would I want to watch you on my television? Why would I want to sit there and watch karaoke on my fucking television? To me, it's a joke. And if anybody don't like what I'm saying, I really don't give a fuck. You don't have to be my friend. I don't care. But anything like Pop Idol or X Factor or Britain's Got Talent, or basically they want people to go on there and foul because to them that's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Watching some poor guy fucking crumble and cringe and die because he knows he's fucked everything up. But no, let's show that on a Saturday night primetime television. And then we can all laugh at this guy, at how bad they was, at how fucking stupid they was to
How
even
deluded they
think,
were.
yeah, how deluded. Yeah, exactly. But what they don't realise is they're playing with people's lives.
Yeah.
They are playing with people's lives. And to me, it's disgusting what they do. Absolutely vile. And the fact that TV, I mean, the thing is, it's easy for TV people to allow this shit on the television. It's easy shit. Do you know what I mean?
That's reality TV in a nutshell.
Yes,
though. It's
that's
rolling
it.
out idiots to laugh at them.
Yeah.
And then there's a few exceptions who are charismatic or who have got something about them that catches on with people. But for 90% of it, you're just rolling idiots out there to be laughed at.
And getting used if you win. I'm not being funny, but I don't really see the winners doing really great. I don't.
No.
You know, where are the past winners? I think one
Yeah.
of them might be in some soap.
Well, a lot of them, they end up doing something completely different. Yeah.
Exactly.
They're like
Do you
they're
know what I mean?
TV hosts or they're DJs on a radio or something. Yeah, but very
They're
few
not
of them
singers.
have got.
They haven't set out. They haven't set the music world alight.
The only one of those winners that I can think of who has had a lasting music career is Will Young. I can't really.
But then he's a.
Or
I don't-
Cheryl Cole,
I
I
only ever
suppose.
hear him on Magic.
Oh yeah, well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't
yeah.
really hear him played on Absolute or any other. You know, you hear him on Magic or
Yeah.
Smooth FM. You know,
Yeah.
but
Magic,
I don't
Smooth,
really.
Heart.
I don't really. You know, for me, it's just a waste of my time, and it's a shame because it is ruining the music industry.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people think that that's how it really works. You roll up, you sing in front of a panel, you become famous.
Yeah.
That's not how it works.
There was that Alexandra Burke, that one who did the cover of Hallelujah.
Oh, what a fucking waste of time that was.
Well, she's doing West End musicals now. She's like headlining them.
I'm not being funny, right? But Leonard Cohen, right? Leonard Cohen. But on top of that, you've got KD Lang. Now, who's got a voice? She does this version of Hallelujah. Game over. Forget it. It's like trying to do Rebel Rebel.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna do it. Bowie done it. He made it his own. It's his song. You're never gonna better it. You're never gonna better KD Lang's version. You're not. If you listen to it, it has you in bits because of her vocal, the way she does it. But this is the thing. I think they give them the wrong songs to sing. They guide them down the wrong path. Why are you singing somebody else's song anyway? If you're so fucking talented, why aren't you writing your own? I can't stand them. Can't
Yeah,
stand
it's
them
got no
programs.
respect
It's
for it.
fucking. It's just rank.
Mm.
And people that watch it really need to question themselves. If that's what they call entertainment, if that's what they really think is gripping entertainment, then I really don't want you as a friend because we have nothing in common.
Yeah.
I can tell you that straight away. You ain't got no place in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
But that's just me. I haven't got time to waste on shit. On fucking crap. Like fucking bad karaoke. And it's all set up. It's all set up. As you can tell. I mean, I don't see how people don't see it. There was one, right, and my friend said, watch this. I went, oh, do I really have to? He went, yeah, just watch this. It shows you how bad it is. And this kid come on, this little kid, he must have been about 12. And fuck knows what he's doing on the adult one anyway, right?
Yeah.
But he come on and he sung this song and it was really fucking bad.
Oh.
Now, normally, you're off. That's it.
Yeah.
But then Simon Cowell goes, oh, haven't you got anything else you can sing? And then all of a sudden he breaks out into this song.
And it's really good.
And he's really, really good.
Yeah, of course.
And you think, oh my God, if people don't see that that was set up, they need shooting. They need putting out their fucking misery.
Well, it is because they check who they're going to put on as. There's like a pre.
But it's
Yeah.
almost
Audition
like he
before
knows who
the-
he's going to
yeah.
sign before they show you him anyway. He's
Yeah.
already signed them behind the lines, probably.
Yeah.
Behind.
Simon Cowell. Oh,
He is a fucking parasite.
Yeah.
I don't care if he tries to sue me. Fuck off. He's a parasite. Simple as that. He's just a cunt. I hate him.
Yeah, I do as well. There's some people absolutely love him, and that's what it is with everything now. Is that a lot of these people who like X Factor and they like the music that's in the charts, the pop music now, you show them something that's got a lot more depth to it, a lot more soul to it, and they don't like it, and they won't give it the chance, because all of those sort of things, they're the kind of things where if you give it time, you will acquire a taste for it, and you will appreciate
some
how good
songs
it
have
is.
a slow build as well, and I don't think anyone would give time for those songs with really slow builds.
People with no attention span now. Yeah, it's a shame. But there is exceptions. It's not just us, and then no one else in the world likes good music. But I don't know. There's not going to be any solution. I think it's only going to keep getting worse. It's going to keep on.
The thing is, though, it's like sometimes you kind of get disheartened with it, but then there's that one thing. It's like recently, I can't think of what it was on, but there was a rapper, and I'm not sure if he was part of Run DMC or part of NWA. He was part of one of these big rap groups.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there and he said, basically, my idol is Kate Bush. And I went, oh, thank fuck for that. There is something out there in the world. Do you know what I mean? And I remember once when I was in this, I was doing some work for this youth club, and this girl come and sat next to me. She must have been about 13, 14, little black girl. And she came and she sat next to me. She goes, can I ask you a question? I went, yep. So I was doing guitar lessons there, I think, 3 guitar lessons. She went, do you like Kate Bush? I went, yeah, I love Kate Bush. She went, oh, so do I. My favourite song's Dream of Sheep. Well, I'll tell you what, I could have cried. Could have cried because I was thinking there is hope out there. It may be very small and very far in between, but there is hope out there. And when I saw this rapper the other day just singing along to Kate Bush songs going, yeah, she's the one I fucking love. And I was like, oh my God, thank fuck for that.
The problem is that the kind of pop and the popular music area has been going on for so long now that it's got into a fine, narrow point of what will make a successful song, essentially.
Yeah.
That's kind of what's happened, and that they refine it to a point where they know exactly, and that they'll aim for the youngest audiences as well, because they're more likely to get their parents to buy stuff and buy into the merchandise and things like that. And so it has been narrowed into that area. Yeah. And that's what it's going to be. And that's the whole point of. Also, if you look at news reporting as well at the moment with social media and things, they do silly tricks that traditional, more research-based news reports would never do. Yeah. Even the traditional ones like traditional newspapers like The Independent and The Guardian, I see the same headlines that I went 20 years ago you'd never done a headline like that. Yeah. And now you're doing it because
they're being dragged into it.
Yeah, it's just a bit like, and it's the same thing for music. Like, it's kind of all this quick. It's like how many views you're getting, how many clicks you're getting, how many. It's a bit like, can we just maybe need to check your priorities?
I was having this conversation with someone recently because they were telling me about that they're a massive fan of Muse, but how as Muse got bigger, they kind of watered down what they were doing. And I think that is another thing. These bands, they have a niche market and they produce really good music.
Also, they take on a lot of what other bands, because there's some Muse, and it's not to stop you to do this, but you kind of get away from what made you great if you do this. Yeah. And one of their albums, I kind of just had it playing in the background on a shuffle. I went, oh, this must be Red Hot Chili Peppers. Looked at it, Muse.
Yeah. Muse at one point to me, I couldn't tell whether it was Muse or Keane. Yeah. They sounded exactly the same. I think the trouble is, when you start signing to major companies, and major companies use the same songwriters, studio technicians, studios, blah, 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 you can all become one big melting pot that sounds the same. Because sometimes I was listening to the Killers, and I was thinking, is this Keane? No, it turns out to be the Killers. I'm listening to Killers, I'm thinking, I'm listening to Keane, and they changed. So it's kind of like, just fucking become yourselves and stay yourselves. Don't listen to what they're saying to you in studios. You got into this and you become famous because of what you was doing. But it's true what they say, you got 10 years to write your first album, 8 months to write your second. But then, you know, I think the third Keane album, I've still got it and it's still sealed. I haven't unwrapped it because I heard one of the songs from it on the radio and went, nope.
Yeah.
I bought it, and then when I heard the song that they'd released from the album, I went, nope. And I've not even opened it.
It's their first 2 albums. Their second album, God,
Was that the one with Under the Iron Sea? Is it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Crystal Ball and
Yeah.
oh my God, what an album!
Yeah.
I mean, this is another problem. Sometimes your first or your second album, or maybe your third or your fourth, sometimes you release an album that's so good that you ain't never going to better it. It's almost like a career-killing album. And I've found that, I probably said this before, with David Gray.
Yeah.
White Ladder.
Yeah, I don't think any of
For
his
me,
tracks
White Ladder is sublime.
I mean, I think most of the songs you would name for him, you'd probably bring up ones from that album, wouldn't you?
That's the thing. And he's released 11 albums.
Yeah.
I can't even name another David Gray album, because for me, you're not going to better White Ladder. You're not. It's just amazing. It's absolutely fucking amazing. This year's Loving, Sail Away, you know, all the songs from that album are amazing. Even the cover. Now, I'm not a cover person, but he even covered Soft Cell's what's the song? I can't think of it. Standing in the Door of the Pink Flamingo. You know that song that Soft Cell did. He covered that. Oh my God, it's brilliant. Even the cover is absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I think that's the trouble I found with Keane. The second album was so good. I mean, the first one, I think the first one was that the one with Bed Shaped on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That was a stunning single.
That was an amazing song.
Amazing song, right?
Yeah.
And the video was brilliant. I loved it.
And Somewhere Where
Absolutely
Only
loved
We
it.
Know as well.
Right? Yeah.
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 And everybody's changing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the second album, forget it. It was game over with that one. Their third album, I haven't even unwrapped it. But then they seem to just end up sounding like, well, they sound the same, but when I started to listen to the later Muse, they just sounded like Keane. It's almost like they'd become Keane. And the Killers, I mean, I'm not being funny, but when it comes to somebody like the Killers, Brendan Flowers, is it? Using auto-tune, what the fuck? What the fuck? Why are you using auto-tune? You can fucking sing. And then, if I'm right, he gets a beat where they've used Bronski beat. Run away, turn away. You know that song?
Yeah.
You leave in the morning with everything you own in a little black case. That song. They've sampled that song, and you got Brendan Flowers singing to it. Are you fucking for real? You're from The Killers, one of the greatest bands to come out of that fucking area, and you're singing to somebody else's music. It's just that killed The Killers for me. First of all, he's using auto-tune, starts using auto-tune, and then the first album, oh my God, that song, You Had a Boyfriend That Looks Like a Girlfriend that I had in February of last
Somebody
year or
told
something. Yeah. Oh, come on, that was just brilliant, right? That was wicked. I remember exactly where I was the first time I heard that. It was the same place where the great Elvis died, right? And I'm sitting there and I've got the radio on and that song come on and I thought, fuck, this is good. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them moments where you're going, shit, this is good. Bollocks. I'll tell you what, this is one of the things that I keep wanting to ask. I forget, we've probably done this because my brain goes, you know, I'm completely fucking insane, but name 3 songs that you wished you'd have written. Have we done that?
No, I don't think we have.
Right. Name 3 songs that you really fucking are pissed that you didn't write it. I'll let you have a little minute to think about that.
That's one way you need to think about it.
Yeah.
I'll let you have a little minute to think about that. A couple of mine, I'll tell you the 3 for me. Definitely, music and vocals, Gimme Shelter, the Rolling Stones. When I hear the intro to that song, I think, fuck, why didn't I do this? Do you know what I mean? Because it's so fucking good, right? Really fucking good. There's another song that I really wished was me that I did, and it's the song that we listened to in the car earlier. It's Roxy Music. It's from the Avalon album. I'll come back to that. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just one of the greatest songs I've ever heard. True to Life by Roxy Music. Oh my God, what a song. Every time I hear that song I think, bollocks, why didn't I fucking write this? And the third, for me, which is probably one of the greatest songs I've ever heard, and not because you've got Kate Bush doing backing, but it's got to be Peter Gabriel's Games Without Frontiers. Oh my God, I can remember the first time I heard that song, and it's one of them songs that every time I hear that beginning bar, that slide, and you hear in the background, I have to stop. It's one of them songs that stops me in my tracks, and I have to listen. It's almost like heroin. I can't not do it. I can't not stop. I have to stop. I can be walking with the heaviest shopping. If I walk past a shop and I hear that bar, I have to stop and go in that shop and listen to the entire song. Games Without Frontiers. Oh man, there is more that I'm really wished I'd written, just to roll them off. But that's my top three: True to Life, Games Without Frontiers, and Gimme Shelter. But the Universal, Blur. What a song. Even though I've heard it a billion times because of the British Gas advert, soon as I hear that violin, I think, oh, why didn't I like this? She's just like, oh, come on.
Because it's simple, but With or Without You by U2.
Brilliant. Produced by Brian Eno.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, brilliant. I love the ending to that song.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, good one.
Just it's such a simple song as well. And the structure of it is brilliant. Just the build in it is fantastic.
Yeah.
I need to think of the other two, but that's definitely one of them.
I don't think I could give three right off the top. I'd need like some serious time to think about it. But one that comes to mind for me was No Surprises by Radiohead. You know, the one that goes do 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 do, because it's such a great little riff, and what it's about as well. I just relate to it so much.
Yeah,
it's sort of a song, not so much that I wish I had wrote it, but I just think had I not heard it, I might have written something very similar to it myself. But generally, when I think about songs that I could say I wish I'd written, I'd say they're more for me songs that I could have written because I relate to them so much. It almost sounds like they were written about me or they were written for me. A bit like when Stan on American Dad thought that My Morning Jacket were writing songs for him. Yeah.
I don't know. I think one thing. I was going to say it's not just songs either. It's kind of just tracks that I've heard, even though they're not going to be big ones by any means. Like I would probably say Aphex Twin, Bucephalus, Bouncing Ball, because he just took samples of different bouncing balls. And he's made this whole track, and you listen to the sounds that he's made. Sometimes just kind of creating the sound as well kind of gets me excited. As well. I'm going, why didn't I think to do that?
That's why I like. That's why I like Depeche Mode, because of the amount of samples they use.
Yeah, but he in this whole track, it's literally him dropping, I think, marbles or little metal balls into a bowl, or just dropping them, and he gets that sound. He's made this whole track on it, and just the sounds that kind of. And he reverses it and flips it, and
I love that sampling. And
so what you were just talking about before about artists starting out making something that really appeals to a niche, and then they kind of water it down as they get more famous. I know that I quite often bring him up, but I think one artist the only artist I've seen in years that really breaks the mold in the mainstream is Kendrick Lamar as the rapper, because he started out by making stuff that was more likely to appeal to the mainstream. And that's how he got big. And then he suddenly flipped everything on its head when he featured in one song called Control, and he did this one verse in it where he completely criticised all of the big rappers that were in the game at the time, like Drake in particular, but many others, saying that they were having their lyrics ghost written for them and criticizing what they were saying in their songs. And since then, that's the other thing. You say you have 10 years to make your first album and then less time. He's churned out an album every year since then, and all of them have been absolutely just like groundbreakingly amazing albums for hip hop, particularly given that he is in the mainstream. And he's like, the VMA awards were this week, and that's the MTV shit, but he won the most awards on that for his album that's out at the moment, which is just called Damn. And it's so different. Even I told you a few weeks ago, even one of David Bowie's old producers was saying he thinks Kendrick Lamar is the only artist in the mainstream at the moment who is doing what Bowie used to do, which is breaking the mold and you know, thinking outside the box and trying something different. And Kendrick Lamar, I just, like, he's been the most inspirational person for me since I was in my early 20s, because I discovered so many artists then who are still around and that, but I discovered them at that time, and it was really inspiring for me and made me want to make music. But then I went through a long period where I didn't discover anybody new and I didn't get much inspiration. But since that's what's inspired me to work on my album now and to try and do something different, because Kendrick Lamar's just, he's showed the world that hip hop doesn't have to stay in all of the tropes that it's been stuck in for so long, or the direction that it's going in now in the mainstream. And I think that that's really important. It seems to me nowadays the only scene in music that really is still at its core the same as it has always been and really doesn't betray its fans is the metal scene. I mean, I'm not big into the metal scene, but they have these...
They're very dedicated.
Exactly, yeah. And it does sometimes come across with some of the metal fans that they're a bit snobbish about their musical taste, but it's because they are so committed to their music. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, really, because it could come across as being a bit closed-minded, but metal bands...
that was the same as the heavy metal scene back in the 70s and 80s. It was a huge army of dedicated. You have to be dedicated because you look different to everybody else. You grow your hair long, you have your jean jackets with badges on, little pins and stuff, and patches that you still sew on you, and that was the kind of thing. And you know, you had your punk side of things back in the 70s, but then you also had your heavy metal, you know, your Black Sabbath, your Iron Maiden, Thor, and that kind of stuff. But as you were saying about inspirations, it's funny how you kind of fall into what you want to do at such an early age in life. I did. I think other people I know did as well. As in, I can remember the first time I saw Bowie at 4. I was 4 years old, and I saw Ziggy, and it must have been a shot from the farewell concert, because he had this white, beautiful silk kind of gowned robe on. And he had his arms out, spread like Jesus on the cross, and he had this makeup on. I didn't know it was Bowie. I thought it was Jesus, because it shows you the crowd, and they were going frantic, screaming, passing out, reaching, and I was thinking, this might be that religious man that they keep going on about, you know, because I'm 4 years old.
Yeah.
But my brother cottoned on, and he started playing me Bowie songs, and by the time I was 7, I got my first Bowie album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust. I knew what I wanted to do from then on, and that's why, like, I'm a huge Mick Ronson fan, because when I got The Rise and Fall of Ziggy, one of the first songs that I played the first 3 songs on the first side. 5 Years was brilliant. Bowie's voice in that was fantastic. Soul Love was fantastic. Then a song come on, which was the song Moon Age Daydream. And at the end, Mick Ronson does this guitar solo. It's not the most technical solo, but the feeling in it was just electric. And I just lifted the needle up, put it back to the beginning of that 3rd track, put it down again, gently as I could. And I got the speakers on the bed, and I laid with my head in between speakers. And I turned the stereo as loud as I could get it, and I listened to that Moon Age Daydream again, and when that solo hit, I was fucking gone. And I knew at the age of 7, I have to do this. I have to do this. This is me. You know, I could have been a vet or a fucking horse rider or fucking anything. You know, you can think of all the things that you can do in life. But when I was 4, I fell into music and started to love music of all types. I mean, my mum and dad met in the war, so they were playing war music, fucking Flanagan and Allen and fucking the Ink Spots and Vera Lynn and shit like that. But I loved it, you know. It was music. It was a different feeling, but it was music. Mario Lanza and Max Bygraves and Perry Como and all these old people. But it was great. I loved it. And I had one brother, he was playing stuff like Burt Whedon and fucking Burr Lives and all that. I had another brother that was into Motta Hoople and Bowie and T-Rex and I had my sister that was into the Osmonds and fucking all of these fucking David Cassidy and the Bay City Rollers and all that side of glam and Slade and shit. And by the time I was 7, I knew what I wanted to be. Without a shadow of a doubt, I need to do this. I need to be Mick Ronson. I need to be David Bowie. Do you know what I mean? And it's funny how you kind of find in life what you want to be at such an early age. And I think a lot of people don't get that, which is a shame. A lot of people are in their 20s wandering around with no clue on what they want to do, which is sad, you know. And I know a few people that are like that. I mean, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. I don't know. There's nothing out there that interests me. And you think, wow, man, how sad is that? When I was 7, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I had to get a guitar. I knew I had to learn how to play. I knew I had to do solos. And, you know, I don't want to go technical on my solos. That's not what I'm into. I could do, but I don't want to. I want to be... I like my form of playing is what I learnt from listening to Peter Green. Yeah. I'd rather take 10 notes and make you cry than have 1,000 notes and it be a cold solo, you know. So yeah, it's just a shame that people today, some people don't know what they want to do. I think, you know, if it doesn't grip you when you're young, if there's something that doesn't grip you, I mean, you know, some girls become fashion designers because they used to dress Cindy. You know, some blokes become mechanics because they had a little mechanic set or spanners or something growing up. Do you know what I mean? It's funny how you kind of find out but those of us that have that luck.
Yeah, you can't. Ali, have you had any specific albums or songs that really, really inspired you to, like, can you think of one song or album that really made you think
to get me involved in music?
made you think I want to be a musician?
I don't know. I've gone through so many genres growing up. And things.
Yeah.
There's so many different styles I like.
If you think about that just for a second, so I'm just thinking, like, obviously, Tim, you said you were able to pinpoint really 2 precise moments that were the most defining things for you learning what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I can, like, instantly say that as well. When I was 19, I'd been in music, playing piano, learning piano and doing stuff, but when I was 19, this one particular album came out called Electric Circus by a rapper called Common. But it featured, like, the production side of things was done by the great late Jay Dilla, and that was with the Soulquarians team, which meant Questlove, who was a drummer from a band called The Roots, and it meant CeeLo Green was involved. It meant there was a guy called D'Angelo, who was one of the great neo-soul singers. They were all involved in making the beats, and then it also featured Pharrell from back in the days before he turned into a pop star. It also featured a singer called Erykah Badu, and it was really, really based, the whole theme of the album, it was a real concept album, and it was based on the sounds of people like Jimi Hendrix and Carlos Santana. And I'd never heard anything like it, and it was the most inspiring thing that I'd ever heard.
I'll tell you my story, because I grew up very religious family when I was growing up. So I'd actually probably say, probably not band you'd not heard of, called Delirious, who are a Christian band and things, but they were kind of more during the 90s, kind of trying to be a hit band. But they did some amazing sounds with their stuff. and they became really big. They managed to get to number 13 in the singles charts in the UK and things. So they did really well with some of the stuff. But they really experimented with their music, and there's an amazing guitarist in there called Stuart G, who's incredible. He's an amazing guitarist. So check him out. He's really, really good. And I saw him playing, and I thought that's probably the point where I did. Not kind of any of the big, but that's what I was brought up on, and kind of that's what kind of influenced me at that time. And then I started getting really into music, going into all different areas and things. And
what do you think was the inspiration for you to want to, as an individual, make electronic kind of music and EDM, all that sort of thing?
I'm always interested in new sounds that you can make, even with your live music and things like that. And it's kind of because EDM, like with electronic music, you can affect a sound so much within it. And I'd probably say a lot of the electronic music artists, if you really look there, some of them are really doing some really experimental stuff with sound and things, and because that's the format where pretty much production's gone now. So quite a lot of the experimentation these days, if it exists, is within that area now. And I don't know, I find that really interesting. Like that's where a lot of the boundaries are still being pushed and can still be pushed really, really far.
So the theme with you is experimenting with sound, because you're saying the same about Delirious, the band.
Yeah, I still think that kind of experimentation. I mean, he used EBOs and things like that within his guitar playing and things. Also, it was kind of he knew his stuff with a guitar. It probably wasn't the most experimental, but I would say the tones that he made and things was some tones that I'd never heard before with a guitar. It wasn't kind of traditional rock. He kind of really pushed some of the tones that he was creating with his amps and things. And I think that's what kind of started me getting into kind of trying to look for new sounds and things, because that's what excites me, is if you get something that works musically but sounds completely different to other stuff out there.
That's interesting. Kind of reminds me of the Mighty Boosh when they were trying to find a new sound. And
because then kind of one of my further artists that were even kind of more influenced and was kind of landscape sounds was Sigur Rós, who are a Icelandic band who kind of use an actual bow on their guitars and things.
Yeah, I know Sigur Rós.
They do really landscapes, kind of a lot like Brian Eno as well, with his sounds that he was making and things and his landscapes. And I mean that I would probably say that is a through line through my music influences, kind of people experimenting with sounds and things like that, and that kind of really interests me, because I mean you get artists who kind of experiment more with the construct of music, and you get some who kind of play more, and I'm more interested in the sounds and things and the different types of sounds you can make a lot of the time, even if it's just building sounds on top of each other, and then how those play through, or whether they resonate certain tones and things if you kind of play them in a certain way and things. But it can be a bit of a slower process sometimes as well.
But that's part of the whole journey of it, isn't it? It's like experimenting, seeing some things really aren't going to work. But you know what you did there. You don't go down that road. You deviate again and you try something different. Because I really like experimentation in music, and I listen to a lot of very experimental hip hop artists and bands, and it's
like different ways
inspiring.
you can, like, because sometimes lyrically you can experiment. That, kind of how you tell the story of the song or the feeling of the song. Lyrically can be experimented a lot, but mine's more definitely more sounds and things, and what tones you're making and things. Interests me.
I'm always, I'm not glad I'm old, but I'm quite lucky because I kind of experienced things kind of almost by accident. Obviously, walking in, just stared at the television, saw Ziggy. First thing, what the fuck is this? Do you know what I mean? So, luckily, having a brother that had Bowie, he was playing me Bowie and Mott the Hoople and all these early glam rock things. Got to about, I don't know, 1977, 78. I was about 9, 10 years old. And I went round my friend's house, and his mum was an old hippie. I say old, she's old now, but she was young at the time, you know. And she used to make wines, and she used to make cannabis wine. So we all used to have a little bit of her wine. We used to nick her homemade wines and stuff. And she said to me once, "Oh, listen to this." You know. By the time I was 10, I got about, I don't know, 4 or 5 Bowie albums by then, but I'd never differed from that. She went, "Listen to this, see what you think." And I listened to this entire album, first of all because I didn't want to be rude and go, "I don't really get it." But by the time I got kind of halfway through it, I was thinking, I quite like this. And that was Autobahn by Kraftwerk, right? So I then started to get into that form of music. You know, I discovered Kraftwerk and Neu, and then obviously then putting that together with Brian Eno and Low, and thinking, wow, you know, the B side of Low. I used to listen to the A side. I think Sound and Vision's on Low. I can't think. So, and then when the B side used to come, the start of Warzara, I listened to it once and I realised there was no vocals in it. It's not Bowie, so I didn't really listen to it. So I was about 10 when I actually listened to the B side of Low, and went, now I get it. Now I understand. And then from 10 onwards, that's when I discovered Tube Army, who then become Gary Newman. Early Human League, very early Human League, before the girls, you know, before the 2 girls joined. And OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark.
What's that French guy? The French. There was a French guy who did electronic music. Started out in the 80s.
Jean-Michel Jarre?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean Jean-Michel Jarre. Yeah, Oxygen. Rendezvous. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame because there's a song on Rendezvous. I think it was 1984 or 86. One of the astronauts on the Challenger was a saxophonist, and he was going to record bits of saxophone in space that were going to go onto the album Rendezvous. But sadly, it didn't make it. So I think he got Bradford Marsalis to play them parts in homage to the astronaut that died on the Challenger. But yeah, Jean-Michel Jarre. I mean, I just fell into that at Vangelis. And it's funny how things kind of lead on, because Vangelis did some songs with John Anderson, and then I done some research on John Anderson and found out he was with a band called Yes, and then I discovered Rick Wakeman in Yes. And then noticed that Rick Wakeman is actually the pianist on Hunky Dory. So it just started to fuck my head up. All these people from different genres all meeting in one thing and doing something completely different. But it was kind of around between 77 and 83, 82, say, that I then started to go from... We had a piano in my house all the way through my life. Again, grew up in a very religious household. Church on Sunday, Sunday school, church in the evenings. I had vicars around my house. My sister nearly married a vicar. But we, you know, and there was a piano in the little room where I used to go to Sunday school that I used to bash on.
Just for the record, are either of you Christians now?
No.
Buddhist.
There you go. Christian upbringing, that's what happens. You force it on someone. Anyway, carry on.
I can understand people needing a deity and needing someone to believe in, but for me, it was just religion was too. It was too strict, and it was, if you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to go to hell. If you do this, you're going to. And I'm doing all of these things.
I just saw some decisions like within my area that I just went, that doesn't make any sense to me, and I went. If it doesn't make any sense to me about why that's that, I mean, like, I'm gone.
I prefer philosophy. I prefer philosophies. You know, first of all, I looked into Hinduism, and then I discovered Buddhism, and I thought, Buddhism's the one for me.
Well, Buddhism came out of Hinduism, didn't it? So, yeah.
So, you know, I do my chants and my mantras, and as you can tell, there's Buddhas everywhere, and I just become a Buddhist, and it just kind of freed me up from that mind fuck of I'm going to hell because I did this, or I'm going to hell because I did that. You know, it freed me up from that. And if there is, I'll find out when I'm dead.
Well, yeah. As we all will.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find out when you're dead. But, you know, I think a life, you're only here once. And, you know, it says thou shalt not steal. Well, sometimes you might not have a choice.
Yeah.
You have no money, you got no benefits, you got no job, you got a family to feed. You're going to go and fucking shoplift.
Yeah, because then there's people out there who have got enough money to blow it on Ferraris and things. But... See, morality and stuff is a very complex issue, and I think the reason I was just curious about the religion thing is just because especially in the West now, it is such a touchy subject, particularly if you're talking about Christians, Jews, or Muslims, and those three religions, whatever anyone says about them nowadays. It's publicly, if a public figure in any way says anything about those religions, it's really scrutinized, and it's such a difficult. We probably shouldn't talk about it really, but
well, no, you should do. This is the thing: freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I'm still an advocate for freedom of speech. I still feel that I can turn around and say, do you know what? I think the UK is becoming a bit crowded. And not feel that other people have to go, oh, you're racist.
Yeah.
You're racist. Why? I'm just stating a fact. If we're building on every little green corner we've got, then we're getting too fucking populated. Because that's a fact. If they're saying we need 1 million more homes to ease the house problem, then we are getting too populated. But that shouldn't make me a racist.
No.
Saying that. I might be saying it as, let's just cap families at 2 kids, and that's English families as well as all the foreign families that have come in.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I'm not racist. I'm saying that against the white English people as well. But you shouldn't be scared to say things because of little labels. That really pisses me off. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? People want to call me racist.
You can say things,
call me
but
fucking racist. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, saying things is fine. I don't know, there are. I mean, that's how. I'm trying to word this, kind of how to push in with what's happened recently in America and Charlottesville and things like that. Like, because that's kind of what their argument would be a lot of the times. Like, oh, it's freedom of speech. It's a bit like, yeah, but you're hurting others. And
also I think that making,
which I think there is a moral responsibility to how far you take things.
Particularly with fascist far right views, because they have been proved in the past to be very, very harmful. But also I think that the most harmful thing that people do, which is a mistake every time someone does it, is to make really generalized statements, like saying something like the country's getting too crowded, too busy. That's fine, because you're not targeting any specific person, and you're not saying, you're not criticizing anyone in particular. But when people make statements where they say, it's really difficult to say it without being controversial. But when they say things like all Muslims are something, like for example, when there was that MP who had to step down because she said that there's a real problem with paedophilia in Muslim communities now, and
who made her stand down?
Well, she had.
No, who made her? She got pushed.
No, she didn't get forced to stand down. The Tories
Jeremy
say Jeremy
Corbyn made her leave.
Jeremy Corbyn did
leave.
not make her leave. She had to leave. You can't say something like that. There's absolutely no proof or evidence that Jeremy Corbyn made her stand down.
No, I'm just saying that because I'm sick and tired of it all being fucking Corbyn. Do you know what I mean? But she's part of his, and he pushed her. But
maybe he did, but I think that she had to stand down after that.
You've got nationalities that are coming to Britain and living in Britain that marry at the age of 13 in their own country. Yeah. Of course, there's going to be differences. Yeah. And you can't then go, oh, we better not say anything about it because we're going to get classed as racist. No, fuck that. They marry at 13 in that country. They can't do that here, but they probably think that they can. you know.
Well, I'm not going to comment on any of that because I don't know.
Because this is the thing. You get scared to say,
well, I don't know if there is actually much fact in your statement, because I don't know what the age of consent is in Pakistan or in Saudi Arabia.
No, I'm not saying Pakistan. I'm saying there are countries out there where, obviously, because you get these fucking adverts on the television going, oh, this girl's going to probably have 2 children by the time she's 13 and married to another. Well, hang on a minute. If the television's telling it to people, it's got to be true.
Yeah,
because
in certain countries, there's definitely are bad things that are going on, but to make a general statement, you just can't do that. You just can't do it.
No, but what I'm saying is when you've got people that are coming to another country that have grown up with this law or these laws, sometimes perhaps they think, well, what's the difference of me living here? I'm still going to want these laws, as in... And I'm not being this to be racist or anything, but when you see the woman walking behind the man, what's all that about? That still happens. I see it every day. So that's a law, obviously, from their country or their religion that they still do in this country. So where do you draw the line? And what can you say and what can't you say?
But that's what I mean. It is difficult. It is very difficult to really... Because some people from that country will continue with certain customs and some people won't. And then when it comes to this particular paedophile ring, which funnily enough, there was one white woman was convicted. It was 15 men from various Middle Eastern or Asian countries, and then one white woman, which was very strange. But they were victimizing white girls, and I don't think it can really be connected to things to do with having a different age of consent in their own country, because they were forcing these, they were grooming them, abducting them, forcing them to do sexual things. And that sort of stuff just has been going on for so long amongst all different communities. You know, it's
I've
not
got to be honest, I was just having a dig at Jeremy Corbyn there. I don't really know the story. It was just me going, oh, Jeremy Corbyn.
The stuff, those were shots fired at Jeremy Corbyn by Tories, and they were saying, oh, Jeremy Corbyn's not prepared to let his people speak the truth. It's but my point from the outset of bringing this up was that it's become such a sensitive thing to talk about, and it's so easy now to say something that gets construed in a certain way, and I
saw a clip on I think it was from CNN, someone had brought it up, where an anchor where they're talking about Charlottesville and what happened, and kind of and there's some kind of trying to defend the right wing and things like that. And one of the hosts kind of started crying and going, "Oh, I just don't feel that I can say anything because of the pressure and things like that." And it just there's such an aggression because it's and started crying about it. And another anchor, respect, I need to find out what her name is, but she literally went, okay, it's okay to be scared and fearful, but we've got to speak about this. We've got to talk about it. It has got to be done. It's got to be done. We've got, because otherwise these tensions and things will just keep on rising up. You got to find some common ground somewhere. You have to, because you can't live together if you don't. But
you get certain people that want to make inflammatory statements, like just for the hell of it. A week ago, I started following. Do you know Katie Hopkins?
Yeah.
I started following her on Twitter because I know that she's going to say shit that's going to make me angry. So I thought, I'm going to see what happens, and then I'm going to see what her supporters say. And one of the things that really struck me, I don't follow her anymore because it annoyed me too much. But she
annoyed yourself.
She'll go in one tweet talking about how the Labour Party has a problem with anti-Semitism, and then in another tweet she'll say how the Labour Party's got a problem of not speaking out about Muslims. So when someone in the Labour Party is critical of Israel for the way they treat the Palestinians, that's not okay. The Tories and the right wing will say you're not allowed to say that shit about the Jews and about the Israelis. But when he refuses to make accusations or inflammatory statements about Muslim people, that's also not okay. You're not allowed to say bad shit about Jewish people, but you have to say bad shit about Muslim people. That's how it seems. That's how things seem to be going. And I do understand that people are afraid of the terrorist stuff, but that guy who ploughed in from that guy who ploughed into all of the people in Charlottesville the other week, he was a white far right Christian man, did the exact same thing that a lot of these far extremist Islamist terrorists are doing. Basically, people who have extreme views, usually of a religious nature or relating to a religion, they will do extreme things, and that's the real, in my opinion, that's the real danger in the world is extreme views of things.
It's extremism is the problem, not certain groups of people. I can
understand
that's not quite, that doesn't make sense, that sentence, because extremism is a certain
but not the people who are more moderate versions of that extreme view, like people who are right wing and have right wing conservative views. That's fine. That's up to them. They can have that opinion, and they have reasons why they do. And maybe they're right. Maybe my beliefs are wrong. But then when someone takes it to the extreme, then it's dangerous, and it's real. But then because there's these extreme fundamentalist religious groups coming up more and more, particularly from the Islam community, it's starting to make more of these right wing religious groups come up in response to that, and. It's
just not going to end well.
No, it's dangerous.
Right. It was about. Was it not General Lee? There was a statue that they wanted removed. Or
Robert
was
E.
Lee.
Lee.
Removed.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they have just moved that to a place of like a museum or something that deals with that?
Yeah, well, maybe they should have. Yeah, maybe that.
Well,
would
I think the problem
because
is that
we say, "Oh no, we can't do that," but then you go to any museum of.
That's I mean we had this discussion not on the podcast but before. That's where the problem is that a lot of these monuments throughout America kind of supporting those types of people.
Yeah.
A lot of them were built within the last 20 years in front of government buildings and things like that. So it's basically caught a breaking point of you shouldn't put on a pedestal what those people represented. You still need to accept the history and things like that, and as an education point. But because a lot of Republican areas within America, they put those types of statues up, and it's not been when those types of things were celebrated. It's been within the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
A lot of areas, and now what's happened is that a lot of mayors have reacted and gone, right, we're putting this in a historical place of reference, or we're putting it in a cemetery. So it probably wasn't dealt right as well, that whole situation, which unfortunately was a fatal learning point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It's like when they had that big. I can understand it because when they had that big piece of art of Myra Hindley in an art display. And people kept going in and throwing things at it, paint at it and shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, that was my dog. And it's just making an appearance. But it's like you go into a museum, I don't know, Imperial War Museum or whatever, and they're going to have squat stickers and pictures of Hitler and pictures of the Holocaust. And, you know, in the right setting, these things are still educational.
They have their place.
I mean,
they have their
historical,
place.
but I think there's some certain points where it has to be historical still. At a point, it has to become not historical, not taking it down, but this is history. We've moved on from.
Of course,
that
we've
point.
learned from that.
We've
and
learned
we've
from
moved
it.
on.
Moved on. The problem is that it seemed that there wasn't a moving on in America. It was starting to rise up by making Confederate people new statues about Confederacy in central government points, which is frankly wrong to kind of say that we're supporting this type of viewpoint and reference. Because say in Germany, you can't do any of that shit legally. You can't do any of that shit because they realised it was the wrong fact. Like you can't have any Nazi references and things like that within new material that's made.
Yeah, but look at what. I'm not being funny, but what I mean, I may be wrong here, but I think I'm not. The Air Force, right? The German Air Force. We got the RAF.
Yep.
What's the German one?
I do not know.
Do you know?
I don't remember. Those
What was it called
words
in the
come
war?
into my mind. The only word that's coming to my mind is Luftwaffe.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's the name of their air force today.
Right.
Do we moan about it?
No.
No. We don't.
Because it wasn't.
Right.
Was it not
But-
around that era when the first autobahn came out? The first autobahn was built, and even Volkswagen, the
Yeah.
car of the people. These
Hitler had a
are
bit of the design of the Beetle, didn't he?
yeah. They are technically relics
Well,
of
Messerschmitts
Nazis.
as well.
But
I mean,
They're relics of
they're
Nazis,
Skoda, weren't they? Skoda engines,
but they
Messerschmitts.
They don't represent
Exactly. Yeah.
the
No, but you'd think that Germany would want to get as far fucking away from the Luftwaffe as possible, wouldn't you?
Do you reckon nowadays anyone?
But they got as far away from the.
But people in Germany still called Adolf.
That's what I was going to ask.
There's still people out there called Adolf.
Yeah. It's weird.
And people still name their kids Adolf
But-
because it's an Austrian
but
German
you can't
name.
you can't do Nazi salutes. You can't put Nazi references within video games. If you have a Nazi
Yeah,
reference,
yeah.
you have to totally change it.
Yeah.
If it's even if it's a war historical game, or not historical, I wouldn't say games are historical in a lot of their senses.
Yeah.
But if you do a war game from World War II, in Germany they take out all references of Nazism. From
I mean, the thing is, I was in when I was in York. I popped into the Castle Museum, and it's great there. If anyone's never been there and you go to York, pop in there. It's really, really, really good. But upstairs you've got the war bits, and there's a Second World War. Might have been First World War. No, I think it was Second World War. And it was a machine gun, a German machine gun. Now it's a real German machine gun, like the one that you have with two hands with the little V that fits on the floor and you shoot. Yeah. And I'm standing there looking at this, thinking. But then another thought hit me. I'm standing here looking at something that killed Englishmen. Not just Englishmen, obviously. Probably
Yeah.
some Americans and Canadians
Yeah,
and
people from the Commonwealth. And
yeah,
that,
so and allies that come and helped us. But this thing shot our people.
But
But yet it's still a great thing to look at because it's an awesome piece of
and I think
machinery.
that's the thing because it's still a historical thing. It killed people in a war, but it didn't promote a Nazi ideology. The gun, like the same way. Well, more extreme than that would be the fact that you can go on tours to the locations of the concentration camps and you can see.
The thing is, though, you're never going to change. There are people. I mean, there are people in this country. There are people in this country that still think in a way that us three would look at it and go, "What the fuck?" You know. So you're not. I mean, I don't want to call them rednecks, but the people that are of that ilk in America, you're never going to change them. And
Right, but I think the point was what I make is that there's new structures and kind of statues and things. It's they didn't stop it for statues of Confederate people who supported slavery and supported all sorts and things. Historical ones, yeah, keep them around and things. But if you're making new ones, you're saying you support.
Yeah,
that
like if a
viewpoint
new
in a lot
statue
of
of
way.
Hitler was made and put outside a German political building, and then they say, well, this is because it's a reference to an important part of our history, but
Yeah.
it's the context of it. You say, no, well, if it was an old statue of Hitler that was made while he was alive, and then you've put it in a museum, then that's fine. But yeah, why are people building new new statues, new things of people that are historical figures that are
you
part
think
of
we've
the
learned?
ugly side of your
Yeah,
history,
yeah.
the worst
I mean,
part
the
of
thing
your
is,
history.
the scary thing is if we're honest, there are people still alive today that believed in Hitler's
Yeah.
and still believe
Of
in
course.
Hitler's
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, there are.
And there's still
But
people out
there's
there
steps that you
that
take.
still believe in that.
Mm.
But this is the thing, you know, you've got to kind of learn from that yourself. Okay, they're going to be stuck in that.
Mm.
And hopefully history, I mean, it's stupid even saying it because history always repeats itself. It's stupid. It's happening all the fucking time. Because there's no different for me from what I suppose there is in numbers, but Rwanda, that was just as bad as fucking what Hitler did to the Jews. It was an ethnic cleansing thing, you know.
Yeah. Well, and Pol
it's
Pot
gonna
in
happen,
Cambodia as well.
It's going to happen again, and it's going to happen again, and it's going to happen
Yugoslavia,
again. It's
there was
probably happening
Milosevic.
right now. I don't know what the fuck ISIS are doing, but they're probably ethnic cleansing their way through fucking somewhere.
Yeah.
So it always does repeat itself.
It happens, yeah. And then what is quite funny as well is that like in America they celebrate Thanksgiving. It's like, yeah, let's give thanks to the Native Americans who helped our founding fathers and gave them land and gave them food. But let's forget about the fact that after that we killed them and we took their land for ourselves. And
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
then they still celebrate that as a national holiday.
Of course.
Right, now this one gets into the really difficult area because then you
But
look
then
at,
we say Christmas. We say
Well-
happy birthday to Jesus, wouldn't in it? Would it
yeah,
come in?
Yeah.
but I was
And
go-
he
I was
wasn't
gonna-
born on
no,
the
no, I was
25th
gonna
of
go. I was going to
December.
go another route. Guy Fawkes night, because
Guy
there's two different viewpoints of that one. Because
I was
there's
outside his house the other day.
yeah, because you could say, but I mean the traditional thing is that he was a terrorist who's going to take down the standards of Parliament and things like that. And there's the other viewpoint is that he was going to liberate the UK from.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I was standing outside the house where he was born. I took photos of it.
Yeah.
I could have gone in, but I didn't have time because there's a 365-day, 24-hour fucking Christmas shop just down the road. So I'm in there enjoying Christmas in August.
Yeah.
But that's me, you know. Yeah, so I kind of bypassed Guy Fawkes' house, but yeah, I stood outside his house the other day where he was born. But yeah, I mean, I celebrate Christmas. I absolutely fucking love Christmas. Nothing to do with religion
With the- yeah.
whatsoever.
I think that's
Just
the
to
same
do with
for-
food and alcohol, really.
That's the same for many, many, many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I can't wait. Bring it on.
I love it. It's funny. Like maybe some people are actually offended by it, but I love things like American Dad when it's Christmas and Roger is saying how he loves it. Oh, it's my favorite deadbeat dad story. And it's like Jesus is born and God wants nothing to do with him. Then Jesus gets famous and God suddenly wants to get in on it. And he talks about like when he's talking about the rapture. It's like that's when we all ascend to heaven, and Roger's like, ascend, you're all flying now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like Harry Potter, but it causes mass genocide.
I love the one where they go looking for a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And Roger's got that jumper with a flashing red, and I think it plays Christmas tunes when you
Yeah,
press
yeah,
the
yeah.
nose. And he turns it up really fast, and he starts going like he's
Yeah.
scratching the Christmas song. Oh God, I was in bits, man. Yeah, I'll just.
That's the thing. Like comedy, I think always seems to be the answer. There's so many comedians out there who like to be as controversial as they can, but ultimately, there's nothing that you can't actually make a joke about. Although arguably you can't make a joke
This
about
is the
Muhammad.
thing, man.
You
I
can't
watch,
draw a
I
picture
watch
of Muhammad.
American Dad, and I watch Family Guy, and sometimes even I'm going,
Oh yeah,
oh
yeah.
my God.
There's one in
But
particular.
then you think, well, this is the world we live in.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are mocking real people's views. Like
Yeah.
the one that really always gets me, and I don't know if they've ever actually shown it on the TV version, but on the DVD, you see Mayor Adam West on Family Guy. He stands up and he says to everyone, "I like that all our cultures can come together, and it's important that we all worship a god." And then he says, "Unless it's a smelly brown god." I was like, "Whoa, you can say that?" But that is kind of what a lot of people's attitudes can be boiled down
There's
to.
a lot of truth in jokes like that.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, it just
They're close to the mark,
doesn't give a
but-
fuck, and that's what I love about it. Sometimes, yeah, things are gnarly, but if you can laugh,
That's one thing I
makes
think-
it better.
Since we last did a podcast, I don't think it had happened yet. Adam West died.
No,
I was really sad.
Adam Wee.
Nobody messes with Adam
Yeah.
Wee.
Now a little lower. Adam Wee.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking,
Adam
yeah. He was just
West.
brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
He was the
It's
most
just a
random character. I love it when he.
Jingle keys.
Yeah. I love when he's just like. And now I'm gonna walk away into this field of corn, and he walks and he's like, I'm lost in corn.
It's just, yeah. What a loss. I mean, that is going to be. Do you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Good game. Do you know what I mean? He's gone. Old Brucey.
Yeah, Bruce Lee.
Finally went. Fucking hell, man.
I mean, other people have died. Like Chester Bennington died, or committed suicide, which was That was another thing at that. Apparently, at these VMA awards, I haven't actually watched them, but there was a lot of political stuff going on. Like Kendrick Lamar was speaking out against police brutality against black people, which is understandable. But then, I think it was Katy Perry who did a big thing about suicide, and was paying tribute to Chester Bennington, because my when
Bennington.
yeah, when that happened, my thought. Well, I was saddened and I was a bit surprised, but at the same time, I remember thinking 10 years ago when they were big, I was thinking he's not going to live long, he's not going to last long. So the fact that is what ended his life is tragic and sad, but it's I kind of thought that's the only way it's going to go with him. The same, I mean, even if you are a believer of the conspiracy theories about Kurt Cobain, I think sooner or later he would have committed suicide anyway.
I don't think he would have.
He was self-medicating, and I think he was destined to die young.
He was looking to straighten out. He was looking to clean up. He was looking to be a father.
Yeah.
A dad.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? He was looking for divorce. Let's be honest. He'd already started talking to other solicitors about divorce. And then ends up dead. Come on.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of stuff to go behind.
The thing that tells you how much heroin he had in his fucking blood system would have killed an elephant. Bollocks, did he commit suicide? I'm sorry, I don't buy that at all.
Yeah.
I'm an avid believer that he was fucking murdered.
But let's not say who by.
Like, even with Chester Bennington, they were saying that he was on the up and up recently.
He was. Well, that's what they say. But then sometimes you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just, like, because I don't know if either of you have ever seen this film called Melancholia, which,
yes.
Yeah. And it's one of what's his name, the director always does these like he did the Nymphomaniac films and he did the Antichrist and everything. Lars von Trier. And I watched Melancholia when I was very badly suffering with depression, and I think that a thing that you get out of that movie, if you have experienced depression, is that I think a lot of people don't understand why Kirsten Dunst's character in that had her breakdown like she did. Because everything was going so great for her. She was getting married. She had all these offers of a new job. All these people come to her wedding. She was getting married to a wealthy man. And everyone would think she's got everything happening for her. Why would she be depressed? But the thing is, all of these people that were there to see her and all of these people that were saying how great she is and this man that was in love with her, they were in love with the person, the act that she puts on when she's trying to make out like she's okay. And the more you have to feel like you're going to have to keep on pretending that you're okay, the less okay you're going to be. And for her, I think that's what it was. She thought, fuck, if I marry this man, if I get this job and I do all this, I'm going to have to pretend that this is what I want for the rest of my life.
But you end up doing that. I mean, how many times do you walk out and you end up on stage?
Yeah.
Life is a stage.
Yeah.
And it can become that. I mean, I've lived that. People expect this, so you have to be that.
Yeah.
Even though inside you're crumbling.
Yeah.
You still have to be the person that they think that you are. And depression is one of them things. Bless you.
Thanks.
Depression is one of them things where, I mean, I suffer from depression. You all know that I suffer from depression, and my life's fucking tickety boo.
Yeah.
I fucking live in what I in my dream. I don't have to work. I can just spend all day in a studio. I can make music to my heart's content. I live in the music industry. I can do what I want. I can go and play golf when I want. I can do anything I want, whenever I want. Perfect life. Yet it doesn't stop me getting depressed. People don't understand that about depression.
Yeah.
It's not about what's happening to you now. It's a accumulation of things that you've suffered in the past, things that you know, like one of the things that my depression balances on is I don't attach to anything. I try not to like anything, or especially love anything.
Yeah.
Because if you like something, it's going to get taken away. If you love something, it's going to get taken away. Yeah. That's my thing. So I've kind of created this little, I've built this little wall. Well, I say little wall, it's like a fucking Great Wall of China.
Yeah.
But nothing gets in, and I can't get out. But within that, I've created this lovely little life. Okay, I keep myself to myself. I try not to get attached to people too much. I don't really, I'm worried that if I do like somebody a lot, they're going to get taken away from me, or they're going to leave, or they're going to fucking die or something,
Yeah.
So that is the kind of life I lead. But in that, my life is fantastic. As in, I can do what I want when I want. But there comes them times when that fucking rain cloud comes over, and there is nothing you can do. There is nothing you can do to stop it coming. And you take the fucking pills, and sometimes they don't work.
Yeah.
The good thing about my pills are the voices go. They dampen down my voices, but it doesn't stop my depression's coming. And I now know my triggers. That's the only thing about depression. When you've had it for a long time, you end up knowing the triggers.
Yeah.
You end up knowing when you're going, and then you kind of batten down the hatches and get ready. You can almost kind of get ready for it because you know when it's coming on, and there's nothing you can do to stop it coming on, but you can kind of like get ready.
Yeah.
And I know when I look in the mirror and my beard is down near my fucking tits and I look like fucking Stig of the dump, that's when I know I'm in a heavy depression, because I've not even bothered to shave.
Yeah, because it loses importance.
Yeah, little things that you just think that you do normally is shave. You get your goatee in, you shave the other bits out, blah blah blah. But then sometimes you kind of stop and you look in the mirror and you look like fucking you've been on a desert island for 10 weeks, and you're thinking fuck. But when you get to know the triggers, it is okay to a point. You still suffer from depression, and I suffer from depression, but it's not because my life's shit right now.
Yeah.
My life's fantastic. I'm fucking loving it.
Yeah. It's an illness. It's an illness.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think the biggest misconception that, although people are really making big steps towards being understanding about mental illness, but I think the biggest misconception about depression is that those times when you are depressed and you're crying, or you're really withdrawn and you're very down, you're not looking after yourself properly, the misconception is that isn't the real you. That's the depression coming through. And that's something that you want to cure yourself of so it doesn't happen anymore. And also the misconception that's your weakness. When that happens to you, that's when you're at your weakest. But it's not like that. When you have depression, the fact that happens to you and there's nothing you can do about it, you can't prepare for it, you can't do anything about it. The fact that happens to you and you can keep that to yourself, that is a strength, and that's a strength that not many people who have not got depression will be able to ever replicate. And I really, really believe that it's got to be, people who have depression have got to be told that it's okay to feel like that sometimes and to get like that, because it's going to happen to you. And if you feel like you're not supposed to show that side of yourself, then you're going to hide away whenever it does happen. Yeah. And I don't think that's fair. It's the same as like Colin Jackson came out as gay this week.
I thought everyone was done that.
Well, exactly. Everyone was like, "Oh wow, Colin." It was the same as when Tom Daly did it, and everyone was like, "Oh, are you? Oh no, my heart's broken. I never would have guessed." But that doesn't take anything away from the fact that it must have been very difficult for him to do that, and it shouldn't be. He shouldn't even have to do it. He shouldn't have to come out as gay officially for everyone so that everyone goes, "Oh, okay." Because why does it matter?
His life's his life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that I do feel like society in the West at least is slowly moving towards a point where, with things like mental illness and homosexuality and transgender, apart from fucking now that Donald Trump has started targeting transgender people and stuff, but I think that we are slowly...
No just reason whatsoever.
Exactly.
Reasons.
But I do think that we're slowly moving towards a society where stigma gets removed from all of those things, and there will be a generation where people don't feel like that thing is what defines them, because it takes a load of strength for them to even tell anyone about it. It will just be normal, and if you're like that, then you're like that, and nobody is going to bat an eyelid, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Some people always have to justify it by their own understanding. It's a bit like, no.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Just
we all have different viewpoints on things.
Yeah.
And areas.
Yeah, like people say, if for me to accept, my friend came out as gay, and now I've got to try and figure out how I can accept the fact that he's gay. Why? What difference does it make to you?
Yeah.
Just fucking. I just don't understand it.
Carry on like you always did, because
Yeah.
He's no different.
No.
He's not going to be different than what he was yesterday.
if he wants to fuck you, then
Yeah, and then you
might
just
have a
say,
bit
well,
of
but he will know that you're not into. Like, I mean, I had that when I was a teenager. One of my closest friends came out, and he told me that he fancied me, and he told me that, and obviously that was really hard for him to do.
yeah.
But ultimately, he knew that I didn't have any feelings like that back towards him, and it's no different from whenever there's an unrequited love.
I mean, it's like if you were to ask a girl out and they reject you.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're not my type.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And at least in this context, you know that there's one big reason why, and it's because that person isn't gay.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, when you have an unrequited love with someone who could potentially be a mate for you, it's harder to accept that because you don't really understand why. Why don't you like me? But
Yeah.
I do feel like very slowly, the same with sexism and with some facets of racism, we're slowly moving towards a point where these things aren't an issue anymore, but I don't know how long it's going to take to actually get there.
I don't know. Things like income inequality don't help and things like that, and that's
Exactly,
going back up again at the moment.
Yeah, because they published the top 10 earners in Hollywood last week, didn't they? And
they said on the current standing of getting the world equal and things like that in terms of pays and stuff, because for most people I would probably say that's the goal, so that people are out of poverty and things like that, and stuff like that's a big goal. They're saying on the current rate it would take 200 years to do it.
Well, maybe it will keep accelerating. I don't know. Like the universe is accelerating in its expansion and stuff. Maybe as things start gaining more momentum in society, things like that will accelerate.
Possibly.
But, yeah, who knows? But it's bigotry and any kind of discrimination against people. It's just perpetuating bad things in society.
Sorry, I was just about to say, I've seen the new what do they call it, trailer for Blade Runner 2.
Yep.
Roll on. I'll just hope it's good. I'll be pissed if I've waited all this time and it's shit.
If they let that director have a vision and do it,
it's Ridley Scott.
Well, no, he's not the director.
He's producer on it.
Oh.
Director.
I saw Ridley Scott's name. I just thought it should be alright because he did the first one.
No, he's producer on it. He's executive producer and things. It's the guy who did Arrival, which is that alien one.
Bloody better be good.
The director is doing it. If he's allowed to set his vision and do it, he constructs films in such a tight way and careful manner.
Yeah, he has definitely got the stock to do it.
I mean, as long as it's got some of the atmosphere of the first one,
I think it does.
I'll be happy. On the trailer that I watched before, the music I think was Vangelis, or very Vangelis-y. It was kind of similar to the original music, which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, still got my fingers crossed that that's going to be a good one.
Speaking of films by great directors, actually, the new Darren Aronofsky film is coming out soon, isn't it? Mother.
Yeah, he's doing kind of
Jennifer Lawrence.
bit of a horror looking one.
Yeah,
more.
but I mean, I didn't really like Noah very much.
Then again, it's the trailer has been styled as horror, and with directors like him and maybe the Arrival director as well, I would see the trailer people having a really difficult time trying to actually push what it is.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to something you've said once before about you think that the directors of films should direct their own trailers as well. Yeah, because that's how you're going to get a truer message across from the trailer
and not ruin the movie.
I mean, have you seen about that film? I think it's called A Ghost Story.
Or spoil the movies more, I think.
Yeah, A Ghost Story. It's about it's about a woman and her husband, and I think the husband dies. And then his ghost stays with her. It's a very art housey sort of film, and the ghost is literally just a man in a sheet. And they've made it very clear that this is not a horror film, and also that this idea of a man in a sheet is obviously a reference to that really stereotypical image of a ghost, but then trying to make it so it's not hokey and it doesn't ever come across funny. And it's supposed to be really good, but that's kind of a thing about, presenting something in a way that could be horror, but then playing it out in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
But really, for me, Darren Aronofsky, apart from Noah, which was questionable in terms of how good it is, but he's got a really, really amazing portfolio of movies like Pi, Requiem for a Dream,
Fountain, which everyone craps on, but I love that.
Yeah,
movie.
I love the Fountain. Fountain is awesome, and the Wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Like Aronofsky, like Noah was all right. The problem for me is just that it was about Noah, and I'm just really not sold on the story of Noah.
But it wasn't a very traditional take on it, though.
No, yeah, it was
very put his spin on it.
It was about how much he wrestled with what his instructions were.
Yeah.
And
My brain is saying Russell Crowe.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Is that the one?
Yes.
Mhm.
Got ya.
and Emma
And
Watson
Emma
was
Watson.
in it, and Jennifer Connelly.
Oh, fuck me. I watched The Mummy.
Oh, the new one.
Mm.
Was it?
Have you seen it?
I haven't. No, I don't really
Haven't seen
feel
it.
any
I-
inclination to see it.
It looks like somebody made a really good movie and then just hatcheted it to pieces.
Mm.
That would be we've got to make our own universe. Everyone is doing the universes of movies. What have we got? Universal, what have we got? Monsters. We've got
Yeah.
monsters. Let's try and hodgepodge
Because
monster
Russell
movies together.
Crowe is in it, and he is Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's going to be another one that they're going to do. They're doing basically all the
They're not
characters.
going to
that
do it because I think that movie flopped pretty
Yeah,
much.
so they kind of bombed already.
Which keeps
What, The
that
Mummy?
Well, they were going to do
It
an
did
expanded
alright.
universe.
I thought they were going to... I think they've set it up for a sequel, definitely. I thought it was going to
Doesn't
be
matter.
like
I
a
think that was the
franchise.
plan, but
I
The way
think
they've done
sequels never come out when the first movie completely bombs. It always is like when Terminator Salvation got made. They were doing a trilogy, and I really wish that they fucking finished that trilogy, but it's never going to happen.
It's just a shame when you get some really good characters,
Yeah,
actors in a movie and it fucks up.
yeah.
Because, I mean, you got Tom Cruise, you got Russell Crowe, you got the woman that was in, I think, 0 Dark 30 or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah. She's been in a lot of good films.
I may be wrong, but you know, you got this caliber in there, and then you fucking hatchet it to pieces. It looks like it's been hatcheted. That's the problem.
Well, that
I
is.
think
me.
telling style was when they accidentally released the trailer without
Yeah,
all the effects on it,
yeah.
sound
that,
effects. That was
that was a
bloody
really.
hilarious.
How
I
how
can't
can a
put that
mistake like that get made and at that level of?
Surely you'd realise.
But then another movie that's just come out that people have really panned has been that new Death Note Netflix film.
Oh my god, taking all the nuance out of it, pretty much.
I haven't watched it.
I watched the first half of it, and then I switched to watch another Netflix original movie, which is Where Is Monday? Much more entertaining, 2 hours. I found.
Yeah, so that's good. I was thinking of watching that.
Well, watch Where Is Monday. I enjoyed that movie
I
quite
really
a lot.
like her. I can't
Yeah.
remember her name now. It's gone out. of
But
my
that's
head.
got William Dafoe as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
But Death Note, I just heard it was awful, and so it sounds to me like it's a bit like the Last Airbender. They've
they tried to hatch it too much into one movie.
exactly, yeah, because Death Note was a series, wasn't it? And
Except I think Last Airbender, they still kind of stayed true to the story, even though it was just exposition because they had to cram so much into it, which was just stupid. They should have just done a part of the story and.
Was that my old
and
mate
section.
M. Night Shyamalan Ding
Yeah.
Dong?
yeah, his
And-
biggest flop.
Yeah.
But Death Note, they seem to have tried to cram so much in, but to do that, they've changed the story way too much and made it a very confined story. More so than what the series shows, where there's because there's only fucking hell, I always forget how to say his name. The death god in it, the main one.
Yeah.
When Dafoe's playing, there's more than one of them in the main series and things like that. Like there's multiple ones, there's
Yeah,
multiple death notes and things. That's not in there at all. There's nothing about the kind of heaven and hell and purgatory and things like none of that's in there. It's just a bit like you've taken away all the kind of mystery of it, of the actual universe of it, and just kind of confined it into this. But
It's disappointing to think that Netflix, but then there's been quite a lot of misses from Netflix
There's
lately,
been
I think.
still good stuff that's coming out from
Yeah,
them.
there is-
that's going
there
to
is good
happen
stuff,
because they've been ratcheting up their original stuff. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
they're doing a lot more original stuff.
They
When they
are,
were doing less, they had to make sure those ones hit because they were doing them less,
and they
had to
did.
build
They
them up.
did. Yeah.
Now there's going to be mistakes.
I watched a Netflix original film called, I think it was called The Most Hated Woman in America. I watched that, and it was really good. It was about this woman who was a lawyer, but she was really, really mouthy and gobby person, and it's a true story. She was very openly atheist, and she spent her entire life campaigning for promoting atheism, and she was the person who made it law in the country that you cannot force people to pray in school. You cannot make it compulsory to pray in a non-religious school. And it was really interesting because she eventually got kidnapped and they were trying to ransom her, and they had her for 2 weeks, her and her son and her daughter, her granddaughter. And eventually all three of them got murdered because one of the people that had abducted them accidentally murdered the granddaughter, and so they all got murdered. But it was a good film, and it was one of those important docudrama type movies.
The Netflix do really well with those sorts of things.
But they are billions and billions of dollars in debt, aren't they? Although they've got a plan for it all. But
It's to charge other people more money.
that will probably. It's always going to, like,
It's gonna
subscriptions
raise
for
the
things
pressure,
always do
yeah.
go up. But yeah, they are many, many billions of dollars in debt. So hopefully
I think they've done too many original things recently.
yeah.
They've funded too much. In one, but
Did you watch the fight? Sorry, just changing.
Oh
No.
yeah, I did watch it.
I watched it.
No.
Did you watch it?
No.
I didn't pay the fucking thing.
thought it was
I listened to it
overhyped
on the radio
a year
and
ago. I thought
Well,
it was overhyped.
I was so happy with the way it panned out because I had so many people come up to me because they know that I am interested in boxing and I'm also interested in UFC. And obviously everyone was saying that McGregor didn't stand a chance, and I was on side with that. But I also did say McGregor will surprise you, and in the first few rounds he will confuse his opponent. He will confuse Mayweather because Mayweather will never have come up against someone like him before. And you could see it the way McGregor kept him at a distance because McGregor was quite a lot bigger. He kept him at a distance, and he moved in weird ways that Mayweather was never seen. Like, that's why so many times McGregor ended up behind Mayweather and trying to punch him from behind because no other boxer would sidestep around you and do that.
Yeah.
And so Mayweather didn't know what to do, so he was just curling up and defending himself. And also you kept seeing Conor McGregor try and do hammer fists.
Yeah.
And then the referee was stopping him because you're not allowed to do that. So I think that McGregor did really well. And it's funny that you see that the 29-year-old man didn't have the stamina of the 40-year-old man, and after 3 rounds he started to fade. But I really enjoyed it. It was overhyped,
Yeah, of course.
but it was a spectacle, and it was worth watching if you're interested in boxing or UFC or both.
Yeah, I don't have any interest.
Yeah, if you're
in
not
that
interested,
ever.
then obviously
Yeah.
it's not going to
I
appeal.
love boxing.
I know that you're not really a fan of Floyd Mayweather, but at the same time, you can't deny that he found a formula that worked, and he was champion in 5 weight classes, 50 fights, 50 wins, 26 knockouts, or 27 because it was a knockout on McGregor, wasn't it?
But then again, I grew up in the time of Tyson.
Yeah, the time when
Do you
heavyweight
know what I mean? I'm
boxers
still
were.
waiting for a new fucking Tyson or someone to excite me.
I don't think that.
Half that.
I don't
now.
think that heavyweight boxing. I don't think that people want to do heavyweight boxing anymore.
What surprised me was all of a sudden Klitschko's retired.
Yeah, when he was supposed to be having a rematch with Joshua.
Now, I reckon he was paid off myself. I reckon he's been offered a big fucking lump sum of money not to fight him again. Because I think he stood off. He knocked him down and then he let him get up and he let him come back. Why? Because he thought a rematch is going to make me more money.
Yeah.
And then obviously now he's retired. I think that was a setup. I think they've paid him off. But it just made me, and it's what I've been saying along, that Anthony Joshua is beatable.
Yeah.
He's easily beatable. It's just going to take the right person.
To be fair to Anthony Joshua, one thing that I like him as a person. I have quite a lot of respect for the sort of work that he does outside of the boxing ring. I think he's a really stand-up guy. But what you're saying about your own theory about Klitschko, a lot of people are saying the same about Mayweather. They think that he allowed McGregor to look good in those first few rounds because otherwise it wouldn't have lived up to the hype. And that's very possible because Mayweather is a master. This is someone who's been boxing at the highest level for more than 20 years. And he was coming up against someone who has been in combat sports for just over 10 years, but never been a boxer. And I mean, I don't get that. It would have been exactly the same kind of result if you'd put someone who was a world-class athlete in the ring with him as well, and give him 3 months to prepare for the fight so he learns a bit of boxing, and it would have been a very similar experience. But I can imagine that Mayweather, even way out of his prime, was allowing McGregor to have a little bit of the early...
But then afterwards, I think, wasn't he sitting there and he said, when somebody offers you 350 million for 36 minutes work, are you not going to say yes? Of course I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
You then have to go, well, yeah, I see what he's saying.
Yeah.
Fuck the rules of boxing and what people think. You've been offered £350 million for 36 minutes work.
Yeah.
Where else are you going to get a payday like that? And I mean, and even McGregor, is it? He got over 100 million.
Yeah, he did. Yeah. But those first 3 rounds, Mayweather barely threw a punch. And I know that he's not one for being a high volume puncher, but he will throw a few punches, and he didn't even try. And that's why I don't necessarily believe that theory myself, but I can see that it could be true.
I mean, the thing is, I mean, he said he enjoyed it, he weren't expecting it, and he's going to come back, McGregor.
Yeah, he said he'll come for another fight.
He said he's coming for another go. Do you know what I mean? And the thing is everybody's going, oh, this is the first time. I swear there's been crossovers before. I swear there have been boxers that have gone over to like MMA, and
there has
MMA
been that way.
Come over to boxing.
There hasn't been MMAs that have gone into a professional boxing. It hasn't happened yet. There have been wrestlers, and because mixed martial arts, people come from all sorts of backgrounds, and so there have been boxers that have gone in, but boxers don't do well in mixed martial arts because they're way too limited. Boxing is an art in itself, but it's not
obviously
real fighting.
They've gone and trained in martial arts, but
Yeah.
I swear there has been crossovers before.
Well,
as in a boxer becoming a martial art expert and going into MMA.
Yeah,
I'm started out in boxing.
Yeah.
Somebody from Ultimate Fighting coming into boxing. I swear there's been people in the past.
There may have been someone who came from a different mixed martial arts league, but UFC is the biggest one, and that's the one where, and it hasn't happened from there before.
A lot of the what are they? The Thailand boxers have come from.
Yeah, the Muay Thai boxers. Yeah,
I mean they're boxers, but they also come from a kickboxing.
Yeah, they use their kicks, knees, and elbows and grappling in Muay Thai.
But we've had people from there come into boxing.
Yeah.
And become boxers.
Yeah.
So really, it weren't the first fight of its kind.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't the absolute first, but it was definitely the biggest.
Yeah.
But I mean,
and then there was all that hype about. I think it was about 2-3 days before. I think I saw it on Yahoo or somewhere. I can't think, and it said there's over 10,000 seats unsold still.
Yeah.
Because nobody's interested in it.
Yeah, people, real boxing fans weren't. A lot of them really weren't taken in by the hype.
And then when it started the fight, I swear the guy said from a near capacity boxing arena. So
well,
even he was saying it weren't sold out.
It was a 40,000 capacity, and there was only around 30,000 people in there. So it wasn't even near capacity. It was 3/4 capacity, and that's not close. But I mean, in UFC there was an even bigger story in the last couple of weeks where one of the greatest UFC champions of all time, this guy called John Jones, a lot of people would say he is the greatest mixed martial arts competitor that there's ever been. He has had this. He's a light heavyweight, and he's had this long-standing rivalry with a fighter called Daniel Cormier. John Jones is very tall, very rangy, and very creative, and he's a striking fighter. Almost no one has ever taken him down to the ground, and he uses all these creative punches and kicks and stuff, and he wins fights that way. Daniel Cormier is probably the best grappler out of all of them. He's a wrestler background, like Olympic level wrestler and stuff, and he takes people down and he submits them. And they've had this rivalry. The first time they fought, Cormier got beaten. Then they were due to have a rematch, but on the night that it was going to happen, they had to call it off because John Jones failed a drug test. He served an 18-month ban, came back, and then a month or so back, he had another fight with Daniel Cormier, and he beat him. And then there was memes going all over the internet because someone came, like Cormier got knocked out, and that's the first time anyone's ever knocked him out, literally knocked out. And when he came to, the fucking guy came up to him and tried to interview him there when he'd just woken up from being unconscious and realised that he'd lost a fight and he was hurting. And so there were all these memes going around because he started crying while he was being interviewed. And then you probably saw him on social media, all these memes of a black guy crying, his crying face. But anyway, that's what happened. Cormier got beaten. John Jones becomes light heavyweight champion again. 4 or 5 days later, they find that John Jones failed another drug test. And so it looks like he's going to be stripped of it again. So that's the biggest story in UFC. Not Conor McGregor fighting in professional boxing, but John Jones failing another drug test. And it's got to be... for someone who, without drugs, proved himself to be one of the greatest and then decided to start using performance enhancers. But everyone's saying you need to give him his fair time to talk about, to try and explain himself. Maybe it was from some other... I think that they're claiming it was an estrogen inhibitor. Okay. And he's saying that it came from some kind of thing to boost his sexual performance. And he didn't realise that it was inhibiting his estrogen, but that remains to be seen. But that was a big story in UFC for anyone who likes that.
Yeah, boxing. Can't wait for the next one.
Yeah, there needs to be... I think there should be more crossovers. Try and pull more, but not fighting against someone who's been in retirement
like
for 2
Hulk
years.
Hogan, Rocky Balboa.
I think like you bring Mayweather out of retirement after he's been retired for 2 years and he's not going to fight at his full potential.
No.
Same if someone brought Manny Pacquiao out of retirement, his last 2 fights he got knocked out and then he got beaten on points. I just don't think it should be done like that. They should take someone who's on the top of their game. Maybe they should get Anthony Joshua and put him up against one of the heavyweights from UFC and see what happens then. Brock Lesnar maybe. But the problem is when you put them in a boxing match, it's not really a fair fight, is it? Because the boxer has been boxing his whole life. I think Anthony Joshua would beat any heavyweight UFC person in a boxing match because boxing...
Do you think we'll ever see Tyson Fury again?
I don't know. He loves toying with everybody with that, doesn't he? He says, I'm never coming back, but then he hints like, I might come back. Do you think you'll see him again?
I'd like to see him come back and fight Joshua.
Yeah.
That would be a fight.
That would be the best way for Joshua to really prove himself.
Do you reckon David Hayes' ankle really hurt on that fight, or do you think he just realised he was going to lose?
I suppose it probably did, but I think some boxers would have... They wouldn't have let that stop them. So, yeah.
It's just hard, isn't it, heavyweight-wise? There's not... I mean,
not a lot to pick from.
I thought Price was going to turn out to be alright, but then he just ended up nowhere. We got no David Hay now. We don't seem to have a Tyson Fury.
No, no Klitschko.
There? Do you know what I mean?
Both the Klitschko's retired now.
I think so. And fucking Abraham, he came back to fight, or was it he was going to fight? Let me think. What was that fight? Wasn't it Eubanks Jr.?
Oh, yeah.
And he's fucking past it anyway. His time was many years ago. Abraham's, he's fucking finished.
That's because Eubank Jr. is another one who's out there trying to prove himself, but he needs to fight against.
But he got beat.
Peak. Well, yeah, exactly.
This is the thing. This is the thing. At the end of the day, you got to go out there and show people that you're up against the fighters. It's like Tyson. Tyson went out there and just fucking took on anybody. He didn't give a shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
World champion or not world champion, I'll fucking fight. I just want to fight.
You need the right promoter as well.
Yeah.
Because he had one of the most hated, but also one of the most successful.
But in
promoters.
the beginning, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, obviously the Gus Amata story. That's where Tyson really comes from, and then after that, that's when he starts to go downhill. After his death. But I've not been excited. I mean, I remember we used to fucking just stay up all night to watch Eubanks v Ben.
Ooh,
things like that, and you had Steve Collins v Eubanks, and You know, you had this great fucking era in boxing, and you had, you know, Tyson, and then when he went in prison, you had fucking Riddick Bowe, Evander Holyfield, all of that lot starting to come through.
And then Lennox Lewis started coming through.
Yeah, you know, and Lennox Lewis to me was another one. He got knocked out by the two most crappiest fighters that you could get in the ring with.
Yeah.
Which just goes to show no one's unbeatable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, except, I mean, that's another reason why you got to give so much credit to Floyd Mayweather, because he fought in 5 weight divisions and he was undefeated. 50-0 is just incredible.
I don't really know that much about him, but as long as he didn't dodge, I mean, it's like
he didn't
Lewis
dodge.
Dodged Tyson. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
The fucking
until
plague.
Tyson was older.
Over.
Yeah,
you know, and then went, yeah, we are fighter. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, all the people that dodged Tyson until basically he weren't fighting anymore. I never really had much time for him. Because I wanted to see you up against a good heavyweight.
No one would have wanted to fight Tyson in his prime, because like heavyweight boxing is all about the knockout, and that guy just did not get knocked out. He had the chin of a fucking statue. I don't know how he had the broadest neck that I've ever seen, and short, broad neck, and I think that meant if he got a hit on the chin, hit anywhere in the head, his neck absorbed all the fucking impact.
But the reason why, I mean, even he'll admit, the reason why he had so many 1-2 round knockouts was because he had such bad asthma that he didn't want to go into the later fight. He knew that if he went past 5, he was doable because of his breathing.
Yeah.
So he had to knock him out within the first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
And you think, wow. You know what I mean? Just to go out there and go, shit, I need to take this guy out. I need to take him out by the second round. Bang, bang, bang. It's done. It's over.
But he had the skill to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ali. You're probably.
It's alright. I've not. I don't
love
follow.
boxing.
I don't
Love
follow
it.
it at all. Never have.
Love it.
Well, from the point of view of stepping outside it all, I know that a lot of people think that boxing is a bit barbaric, but I think.
Oh no, I understand the skill of things. It just hasn't scratched that part of my brain. That
but I'm just thinking maybe if anyone's listening to this and they're thinking about that, I think that boxing is dangerous because you are getting punched in the head a lot for 12 rounds. And that's why it's 12 rounds. It used to be 13 rounds, and then a couple
15,
of people died.
I remember it was 15
way
rounds.
back, 15 rounds, yeah. But when I watch boxing, you often see, like when Chris Eubank Jr. was fighting that fella a few months back, and his dad told him not to hit him in the head, because and then this guy went into a coma afterwards. So if he had hit him in the head after that round, this guy would have died, and that's what's happened a lot of times. But when you watch UFC, that's one of the things that I don't like about it, because I've like grown up being a lover of martial arts, and one of the things about martial arts is that you're only supposed to fight someone. If you're comparing skill with someone, you're not supposed to be trying to kill them or hurt them. You fight them until you've got to the point where you've beaten them. But so many times in UFC, they will keep hitting someone until the referee stops them, and I just can't respect that. If you ever watch someone knock, like they land a kick on someone's head, that guy falls down on the floor, the guy will then pounce on them and start pounding them in the head until the referee stops them, and I just can't get on board with that. And I've seen that in some of the old boxing matches. The referee doesn't stop a fighter from hitting, and so they've got someone up against the ropes and they're just pounding them in the head.
Yeah.
And then that's why there have been a lot of deaths from boxing. There's never been a death from UFC.
But I think when you go into a boxing match, you know, didn't you, that there's a possibility you're not coming out.
Yeah, that is the thing.
I think McGuigan, didn't Barry McGuigan? I think 2 people have died because of him. I think there was 2 boxers that died.
Yeah.
It's
that's
just
true.
one of them things.
You sign a waiver, don't you?
It's like, one of the, that's it, basically. But you should do that when you get on a fucking roller coaster.
Yeah.
You should sign a waiver. I know that I could end up not getting off this fucking roller coaster.
Yeah, well, that would
or
have
getting off
saved
the
Alton
wrong
Towers,
fucking way.
Yeah.
That's one thing I can't stand about the Eubanks is I can understand your son's taken up the sport, but you need to stay as far fucking away from him as possible, because basically
coach and
you shouldn't have anything to do with it, let alone be his corner man.
But Chris Eubank loves the spotlight, though. Doesn't
But that's
he?
why I hate his son, and that's why I don't want him to win because of him. If it was him on his own and his dad had fuck all to do with it, and his dad stayed the fuck away, and then fine, you're doing it because you grew up because you want. But all I see is this dad reliving the glory through his son, and I think his son's going to pay for it.
Yeah, his son maybe needs to.
He needs to tell his dad to fuck off.
Yeah. I
This
think
is
you're
my
right,
fucking life. This is my chance. This is my fight. This is my boxing career. You've had yours. Stay the fuck away. Don't be interviewed by the television before my fights because it's my fight. Why are you going with that fucking stupid attitude and voice that you use? You're embarrassing me. I would be embarrassed.
I wonder if another coach would have told Chris Eubank Jr. to stop hitting that guy in the head.
Of course not.
Because it's obvious that referee should have stopped that fight, but he didn't, and that's why.
But the
Eubank
rules
did
are you
that.
protect yourself at all costs,
and
and
when
if you're not protecting yourself, then
the
you're going to get
referee
hit in the
should stop
fucking
it.
head.
The referee should stop it because the fact, like I remember I was watching this breakdown of a kickboxing match once. It's on YouTube, and it was an amateur kickboxing match in America, and one of them, they were just teenagers. One of them died after the fight, and when you've got the doctors and you've got all of these people that are watching it, and you've got the referee, there's certain signs that you should be looking out for that someone is in trouble. And if he can't, you start losing the ability to put your hands up, not just because you're tired, but because your brain isn't communicating properly with your body. And so if a guy is not putting his hands up and he's getting hit, the referee should stop the fight. That's why the referee stopped Mayweather from hitting Conor McGregor, because McGregor could have taken a few more punches before going down.
But then again, you get the fights where the person, hypothetically, let's just say Chris Eubank Jr. Isn't hurting the opponent. He's not got the punch to hurt the opponent. But the opponent's backed up and he's on the ropes, and there's a couple of shots getting through. They're not hurting him because they're not powerful enough. But then the ref jumps in and goes, "Oh, no, fight over."
Yeah.
Well, hang on a minute. He was in no danger there.
Yeah.
You've stopped that fight because obviously there's been a bung involved, or you're told to fucking let Eubanks win. Because I've seen it a lot. A lot of fights have been stopped when they shouldn't have been stopped.
Yeah.
They've been stopped to aid somebody's career.
Well, and
But they're not hurting the fighter. The fighter could come back from that flurry and knock the other guy out.
Yeah.
He's obviously backed up and he's covering up. He's taking a rest.
Yeah.
He's not getting hurt by the punches. But that pisses me off when the ref stands in and goes, "Oh no, fuck off, man."
Yeah, a lot of people did say that about they should have let Mayweather knock McGregor out, let him actually knock him out, because it was a TKO, wasn't it? But if that round had gone on for 10 more seconds, McGregor would have been on the canvas. But the referee stepped in and stopped it.
It's that fine line, isn't it?
Yeah.
For me, it's that fine line of, is he getting hurt? If he's getting physically fucking hurt,
then stop
and he's
it.
not defending himself, then stop it.
And
But
and
if he's taking punches that you can see are not enough to knock him out, let the fight go on.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously taking a rest. He's obviously backing up to let the guy tucker himself out, which is what Dopa Rope was all about.
Yeah.
It was invented by one of the greatest, so everyone says. But yet, if anyone tries to do that today, they get fucking, "Oh no, this fight's over. You're not. You're obviously in trouble." Well, no, I weren't actually in trouble. I was letting him fucking knock himself out. I was letting him get so tired. But you've obviously, helped him win. Why did you help him win when you could have seen? I mean, sometimes I see it and I'm going, "Well, he's not in trouble. He's not getting hurt. Why have you stopped the fight?" Pisses me right off.
It is a really difficult one, because as it happened, Eubank was right. He was right to stop hitting that guy in the head, and he was hitting him in the body. Referee called it off. They take the guy to hospital. 12 hours later, he's in a coma that he doesn't come out of for 2 weeks. So if he had continued taking hits in the head, he probably would have died. But then sometimes, like, do you remember when Ricky Hatton fought Floyd Mayweather?
Yeah.
Ricky Hatton came in swinging, everything's flying out, and Mayweather looked like he was in trouble. Then, dodging a couple of swings, Mayweather lands one punch and Hatton is out in one punch. And that's what Tyson used to do, and that's one where you can't, there's nothing you can do about stopping that, because it's a one-punch knockout. But then a one-punch knockout doesn't do as much damage as taking 50 punches that slowly knocks you out.
But then again, I've seen boxers take so much punch to the head.
Yeah.
And
seem
at
to
the
be
end
able
of
to
the
take
fight,
more
they're
than others.
fine.
Yeah.
They win the fight.
Yeah.
Because the guy wasn't physically strong enough to do any damage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then basically you've got to go by, okay, he's allowing that guy to punch him. He's allowing that guy to get through with a couple of punches because that's when you're going to catch him with the counter.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need to take a punch because if your plan ain't working how you thought it was going to work, then you think, right, I'll try and catch him with a counter. I'll let him come in, get a few punches off, and I'll carry him over the top. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes it's the plan to get punched.
Yeah.
And you're going to take a few.
It all boils down to what you said. They all know that once they step in that ring, they might not be stepping out again.
That's it. But then again, it's the same with Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It's the same with IndyCar. It's the
there's a
same
lot
with
of
fucking
dangerous
Le
sports.
Mans.
Yeah.
Don't do it if you're fucking scared you're going to die.
The same with ski jumping or that
Skeleton
bobsleigh
race.
race. Yeah. Because people have died from those.
Yeah.
Really brutally died as well.
Just don't do any fucking
Formula
sport.
One, there was I'd never seen it before. There was an incident. I think it was in the late 70s. Fucking hell, it was horrible because they caught it live. Someone had one of the guys had he crashed and the front of his car had caught fire. So these two stewards were coming across. They had to run across the track to get to him. The second one was this young kid, 19-year-old, was carrying a fire extinguisher, and he didn't get across quick enough, and another car flew through him nearly 200 miles an hour. It was one of the most horrific things that I've ever seen because it all happened live on TV, so it's all caught.
Yeah.
And this guy, the driver of the car that hit him died because the fucking fire extinguisher went straight into his face. But the guy who got hit by the car, he just got ripped apart. I've never seen anything like it.
And have you noticed the clothes come off? Did you see?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like the shoes come off and everything.
Trousers come off.
Yeah, and this guy just got ripped apart.
So when you see somebody in a bad car accident, or
there's always a pair of shoes there and shit.
Sometimes they are naked. Yeah. Because they're spinning so violently, the tops come off, the trousers come off, and I've seen bad ones. There was one bad one which was caught on camera, where the car hits another car, comes up, spins, and it goes through a part of the crowd.
Oh yeah. That was that French one.
Decapitated about 7 people.
Yeah. That was when they made the decision to not allow the crowd to be that close to the track anymore.
But yet you still see it sometimes, especially with the dirt rallying cars. Yeah. They fly around corners and there are people standing on the corner.
And they get hit with all of the dirt that comes off
and
the
you're
track.
thinking, what the fuck are you mental? Do you know what I mean?
But then even in cricket, there was that guy a couple of years ago who he took the ball, hit him on the neck. The one part of his body that wasn't covered up with padding, and then he went into a coma. 2 weeks later, he was dead. So sports have a risk with it. I mean, I remember watching a video on YouTube once of all of the incidents of football players dying on the pitch. Yeah, and there's like 20 of them where players running suddenly stops, puts his hand on his chest, falls to his knees, falls flat on the ground, gone, and they're gone. Yeah.
That's the thing. Every sport, you got to understand it. There's going to be fatalities in it. Yeah. Everything. Do you know what I mean? Skiing. People have died on skiing, doing slalom. Yeah. I think one of the famous ones died. The ski thing went through his chest. The pole. Don't know what they're called. There have been people that have been stabbed doing fucking fencing. The foil or the epi or whatever it's called snaps and goes through them. There's no sport that you're going to do where you're going to get away from injury. Yeah, there's sometimes always a risk. Death as well. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Look at the rugby players. Look at half of the time. Look at their ears when they finish their careers. They're like big cabbages on the side of their head.
That's what all the UFC fighters get as well because they get the headlocks. And American football, I know they're all padded in that, but they have some fucking horrific injuries because there's no... Like in rugby, they slam together, but in American football, it's on another level. I've watched that shit. They have incidents where someone gets hit and their fucking eyeball comes out because they get hit so hard. Yeah. Their fucking eyeball comes out.
Yeah. Heavy stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, I've been alive a long time. I've seen a lot of sport. I've seen a lot of shit fucking happen. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So,
be going on a while.
Fucking hot. We've been a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yep. We have.
So I think we'll end it there.
Yeah.
A bit of stuff for everyone, I think, in this podcast.
Yeah, and as a bunch of musicians, we actually talked about music for quite a long time today, so you're welcome, everyone.
Cool. Well, thank you for listening, if you listened to us, or made it this far.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
And we'll see you, listen to us next time, hopefully. So, bye.
See you later.
Laters.